Hello, welcome to my first ASMR playthrough on this channel. I was originally going to play Baldur's Gate. I mentioned that several times in my past videos that I was going to play Baldur's Gate, but at the last minute I decided that I wanted to do Myst. So, the reasons I decided to do Myst. First of all, I love this game. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I really wanted to do a playthrough of it. Second, I thought this would be a great game for an ASMR playthrough, not just because it's a very slow-paced, relaxing game, but also because it's the kind of game that you have to take notes during. So, in addition to the soft speaking and the whispers and mouse clicks, we also get some nice pencil writing sounds. So I thought it would make for a good ASMR playthrough. Now we are playing the Masterpiece Edition. We're not playing the new remake. I wanted to play this version because this isn't the original version, but it uses the original graphics and gameplay. And I just thought that would be more nostalgic, because we've been playing lots of classic 90's PC games, and I thought this would fit right in. It's got that beautiful 90's 3D render look to it. I love this style, and I think this game is one of my favorite examples of the style. So, we're gonna enjoy this classic nostalgic adventure game on the PC. So let's get started.
I realized the moment I fell into the fissure that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed. I must admit, however, such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my Myst book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
So we start off in a starry void with a book in front of us. We can click the book to pick it up. We've got a book with a picture on it. There's nothing really to do but click on the picture and see what happens. And here we are on Myst Island. The game just sort of drops you in. There's no tutorial, nothing really to do except just play the game and figure out what's going on your own. We can see some birds in the background there. And there's sort of a thin forest. We've got this bunker looking thing here. Let's go in. And of course I've played this game many times, so I already know what's going on, but I'm going to try to guide you through it without any spoilers. And I love the look of this chamber here. We can see what looks like a pool. We push the button, and it changes to whatever this is. And if we push the button again, the water comes back. So Over here, we've got a piece of paper. Settings, dimensional imager. We can see some settings here with numbers next to them. And if we click this button, we can see it's set to 67. And if we look at this page, 67 was the water turbulent pool. Let's take a look at some of these other options here. The topographical extrusion test is 4-0. You can't wrap around, it seems. Okay. We click that. Let's go back to the imager. Push the button. And we've got a topographical diagram. So that's pretty neat. Let's turn it off and try the other option. The marker switch diagram. We'll put this up to 7. Push the button again. Let's go back to the imager. And we've got a diagram of what is apparently a marker switch. Alright. So that's all there is to do in here. So let's exit out the way we came. Back out onto the dock. We've got a sunken ship here. And if we look, we can see one of those marker switches that we just saw the diagram for. It starts in the lower position. We can raise it up to the upper position. I'm not really sure what these do yet. We'll just put it to the upper position for now. And let's explore some more. We've got a big gear up here. Let's climb the stairs. And we've got another marker switch up here. Let's continue exploring some more. We've got a piece of paper on the ground. Catherine, I've left for you a message of utmost importance in our forechamber beside the dock. Enter the number of marker switches on this island into the imager to retrieve the message. Yours, Atris. So, looks like we're going to have to count the number of marker switches on the island. This is our first clue. So, I'll try to write big so it shows up well on the camera. So, marker switches. Sorry if my handwriting is a little sloppy. If you've watched my 4 Against Darkness videos, you're already well aware of that. And we've seen 2 marker switches so far. This one on the dock, and this one up by the gear. So we'll put 2 tally marks on the note paper. And if we come up here, we can see a 3rd marker switch. So let's tally that off. And we've got a door leading into a small little building here. Now in this building we've got a chair, and if we get in the chair, we can bring down this little screen. But we can't really see anything. We can adjust these settings to adjust the date. And push the button. And we can kind of see something going on in the image, but it's hard to see. The reason why it's hard to see is because we actually need to get up over here and turn the lights out. And now if we look up at the ceiling, we can actually see that the ceiling is covered in stars. And now if we get in the chair and we look at the screen, now we can see the stars. And if we change the date and time, and then click the button, we can see the stars that I guess were in this position at this time of day and year. So pretty cool, not particularly useful to us right now, but presumably we'll need to use it in the future, so we'll just leave the lights off. So we're back out here onto the island. Let's continue down this path here. We've got a building right here. This is called the library, even though it only has one bookshelf, but let's take a look at that bookshelf. Now, most of the books here have been destroyed, unfortunately, as you can see. But you can see a few of them are still intact and have words in them. Now, we will be reading these, and I will read them out because I think the reading will be good for ASMR, but we're not going to read them all right this second. Like I said, I've played this before, so I kind of know when the best time to read these is. And when I do, I'll put a timestamp, so if you don't want to sit there listening to me read through pages and pages of text, you can just skip past it. But for now, we're going to ignore these books, and we'll come back here in a little bit. Let's look more around the library. We've got a painting here showing the open door in the front, and if we click it, nothing happens. Over here, we've got a blue book, and if we open the book, I'll probably cut these sounds out or make them quieter because they're a little abrasive. So we've just got static if we open the book, but we have a page here, a blue page, and what happens if we take the blue page and use it on the blue book?
Serious? Are you? See you. You know. Help me. Bring blue pages. Never, never. Just. I must have the blue page. Bring them to me.
So, in this book, there was a strange man. He said his name, but it's kind of hard to tell. But his name is Akinar. And Akinar wants blue pages. Okay. So he wants us to find blue pages and bring them to him. So I guess we'll keep our eye out. And on the other side, we've got a red book. If we open the red book, we see something similar to what we saw before. A bunch of static. And if we take the red page and we use it on the red book,
Bring me a red page. I can't see. See the red page? You must. Make a bring. I am serious. Give it up. There's one thing I want to rescue.
okay, so I think I'm probably going to sort of cut around all the staticky stuff and just make it so you can hear what he's actually trying to say. But basically, what he said was similar to what the other guy said. He told us his name is Cirrus. And Cirrus wants red pages. So we've got Akinar in the blue book, who wants the blue pages, and Cirrus in the red book, who wants the red pages. And now right here, we've got a map of the island, and you can see here there's a line coming off this circle, and if we click the circle, the line will rotate around the map, and you can see when it reaches certain spots on the map, it turns red. Now, we're not gonna pay too much attention to this yet. We're gonna worry about it more later. For now, we're just gonna focus on exploring around the island and counting the marker switches. But this will be very important in the future. And there's one more thing to look at in this library right here, and it's this picture right here. You can see this picture appears to be of the bookshelf. But in this picture, the books are lowered and there's a secret passage behind the bookshelf. And so if we click the picture, we see a secret passage behind the bookshelf. Now we're not going to explore this right now. This secret passage is actually related to the map on the wall. So we'll explore this later once we get more into that. But when you open the secret passage, it closes the way out of the library. So to open it back up, we have to click on this picture right here. And that will close the secret passage and open the entrance back up so we can leave. So let's go out of the library and we'll explore more around the island. So let's go over here and we've got a spaceship. So let's walk down the path to the spaceship and you can see we have another marker switch. So let's add another tally to our marker switches. And we can't go in the spaceship quite yet. The door is closed and clicking on it does not do anything. In front of the library, we've got a sort of water pool here with a sunken ship in it. Kind of resembles the sunken ship over by the dock. And over to the side, we've got these boxes with little symbols on them. We can click them to make the symbols change from red to green. You can see each of these boxes has a different symbol on it, but we don't know what to do with that for now. We've got another marker switch here, so that is 5 now. We'll continue on. We've got some butterflies here flying around. And if we come over here, we can see a little hut with a 6th marker switch on it. Let's go in this hut right here. We've got a spooky staircase leading underground. And what is this? Looks like we've got power generators here. And we've got a little instruction picture on the wall. The left gauge displays power, the right gauge displays power to the spaceship, and then these buttons are the switches to activate the generators. And we can play around with these. You can see we turn on the power and both gauges go up when we push the buttons. But if we push too many of the buttons, now the right gauge shows 0. And we can keep turning on the buttons. The power keeps going up, but the power to the spaceship is 0. And even if we turn off all of the switches and try to turn them back on, there's no power going to the spaceship. And that's actually because we triggered the circuit breaker. So let's go and switch off the circuit breaker so that we can do that again later when we need to. We're not going to go back down there and fiddle with the switches anymore because we don't know what we're supposed to be doing there. But we'll just turn this off now so that the next time we do go down there, we'll be ready. And it'll work for us instead of having to do that later. So let's continue down the path. And over here we've got a cabin and a 7th marker switch. Let's go in this cabin. We've got some kind of furnace. We can turn this wheel here, and we can hear the gas going when we turn on the wheel, but there is no ignition, so the furnace does not turn on. If we turn around here, we can see a safe. A 3-digit combination is needed for the safe, but we don't have it yet, so we're going to ignore it for now. Let's continue down the hill, and at the bottom here we can see a clock tower with an 8th marker switch across the way. We've got some wheels here, and if we hit those wheels, we can see that the time on the clock has changed. The small wheel controls the hour hand, and the big wheel controls the minute hand. And if we push this button, currently nothing happens. So that's just another puzzle that we don't have the solution to yet. We need to come back later once we've gotten more clues. But we've explored the whole island. We've counted all the marker switches. There are 8. So let's go back to the dock and enter that number into the imager and see what we get. Let's take a look at the imager.
Catherine, my love, I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed. Catherine, it's one of our sons. I suspect Achenar, but I shouldn't leap to conclusions. I'll find him and Cirrus as well. Oh, I should have known better than to have left my library unchecked for so long. Well, I've removed the remaining undamaged books from the library and placed them in their places of protection. You shouldn't have to use the books until I return. But if you've forgotten the access keys, remember the tower rotation. Oh, and don't worry, Catherine. Everything will be fine. I'll see you shortly. Oh, wait, and erase this message after you've viewed it, just to be safe.
So, just to clear something up quickly that I've sometimes seen from people playing this game for the first time, no, we are not playing as Catherine. Catherine does not appear in this game. She does appear in the sequel. But we are just playing as ourselves. This is a game where you play as a true self-insert. The idea is that you yourself found the Myst book and were transported into this world mysteriously, and now have to figure it out. So Atris said that in order to get to the books, we need to use the access keys, and said something about the tower rotation. So, let's take a look again at this map. So now you can see that we've lit up most of the island by activating the marker switches, and if we hold this down, there are 4 places that the tower rotation will stop on. We're going to start with this one right here. Now, that secret passage behind the bookshelf this is going to be the place that we're going to explore next. So, let's go down this passage. I love, for some reason, this secret passage is one of my favorite locations in the game. I just love the look of this area. It really has that 90's render look to it that I love. And we've got an elevator here. So let's open the elevator and get inside. and we've got a very low frame rate animation here, but that's okay. This is from 1993, it's excusable. Now we're in the tower, and we've got a ladder here with a symbol of a book on it. These books seem to be pretty important. And if we look out this little hatch here, it's pointing to a big tree. Now, we didn't actually look at this tree while we were in the area, but this tree is right by the cabin with the furnace in it. So, this is also the direction that the tower was facing. The red line was pointed towards this tree. So, this is the tower that we're in. We rotate the tower and it points to wherever the red line was pointing on that map. Now, this part is kind of where one of the things that is kind of difficult to figure out on your own, but you're actually supposed to go around the back of the elevator here. And behind the elevator there is a key symbol and another ladder. So let's climb the ladder. And we have 3 numbers on the wall. 7, 2, and 4. So there's only been one place in the game so far that required a 3-digit number that we did not have, and that was the safe inside the cabin. So let's go over to the cabin and enter that into the safe. Okay. So back through the hallway. And let's open the door back up. Before we go out to the cabin, though, I'm going to read from our first book. And like I said, I will put in the description a timestamp to skip past the reading if you're not interested in it and you just want to see the rest of the adventure. I have called this age Channelwood, and it is a very different world. Though it is exactly how I imagined it, it is still amazing to see it with my own eyes. Water covers this age as far as I can see, except for a small rocky island. Elsewhere, there are only trees, which grow directly out of the water. A myriad of thin wooden passageways are built just above the water and disappear into the forest. I assume they were built some time ago, for they appear aged. I'm eager to discover more about this land and its people, but I have arrived here late, and I must rest. I was awakened this morning by strange noises coming from a pathway adjacent to the one on which I had slept. I saw a group of monkey-like people heading in my direction. They had not seen me yet. I did not feel threatened by their presence. Their response to me was one that I would have never expected. After staring at me for a short time, they fell to their knees and began what appeared to be some sort of ceremonial worship. I tried to speak to them, but they did not understand my language. Instead, they indicated through enthusiastic hand motions that I was to follow them. As we walked, I began to notice that the waters below us were changing colors. Slowly, subtly, they would change from deep blue to muddy orange, then from muddy orange to beautifully clear. I was so intrigued by the water, I hardly noticed that we had arrived at a ladder. Climbing the ladder led us to their village, which is about 10 meters above the water and can only be reached by rope ladders that stretch from the lower paths to the village level approximately halfway up the grand trees. It is very interesting watching these people carry out their daily tasks. Even after watching them for hours, I did not understand exactly what they were doing. At sunset, they motioned for me to follow them. I followed the creatures to the doorway of an enormous hut. Strangely, once inside, I found that the hut appeared even larger than it had from the outside. The walls were garnished with bright metals, and in the center of the hut sat the leader of these people. At least, he appeared to be their leader, for he sat a meter off the floor in a thick throne. Guards surrounded the strong creature, who was dressed in many exotic, colorful fabrics. Next to the leader sat a very old human. At least to some extent he appears human. His hair, which was only on his face and head, was completely gray, almost white, and hung very long around his frail body. His thin head hung limply by an almost grotesque neck that could not hold its head up to look at me. But what a surprise, this creature could speak my language. Shortly thereafter, I was given a bed with some hand motions that looked to be telling me to go to sleep. I look forward to learning more. As I suspected, the ancient creature is a human, but he is old beyond his own reckoning and seems almost insane. However, the tree dwellers almost revere him as a god. They are treating me now in the same fashion, which makes me feel very uncomfortable. It is almost impossible to understand this old man. His voice is feeble but wild. He has adopted much of the language of the tree dwellers. He himself told me he had not spoken our own tongue in ages. He attempted to explain to me the history of this place. The following is my best translation of what he has told me. Many years ago, the humans and tree dwellers lived together in this place, which was then a vast island. They interacted very little. The humans dwelt on the ground, and the tree dwellers lived high above the humans. Occasionally, the island was disturbed by mysterious rumblings which happened randomly, some sort of tectonic or volcanic action, I suspect. The sometimes slight, sometimes heavy tremors would only last a short time. Then they would stop, allowing everything to return to normal. One day, things changed. The rumbling began and grew quickly to unprecedented levels. Soon it became apparent that the entire island was sinking slowly into the ocean around them. Many of the humans died that day, but not before sacrificing themselves in order to stop the sinking of the island. The humans who lived through this catastrophe moved into the trees, where they gradually died out, maybe because they were unequipped for such an environment, but I am not sure. This is the story the old man communicated to me, although many details are very unclear in my mind. I am especially confused as to how the humans saved the island from completely sinking. In fact, I doubt the accuracy of that part of the story. The island must have stopped on its own. Yet, the old man believes in the truth of the story as if he had been there, and the tree dwellers worship him, and apparently all humans, as if they, were heroes or gods. The old man ended our conversation today with an event which I will never forget. He began gripping my hands tightly, murmuring something about rest and asleep. He then said, "We had expected you to come sooner." These actions filled me with a sort of immediate dread. With much effort, he stood to his feet. I tried to help him, but he pushed me away with more force than I imagined his frail body contained. The tree dwellers quietly surrounded him with very solemn faces. They then kneeled before him. He walked to each and placed his hand on their heads. All the while, he murmured words which I did not understand. I'm going to skip reading this next part out loud because it's a little bit dark, but the gist of it is that now that another human has arrived, the old man no longer feels obligated to keep himself alive. If you want to read the exact prose, it is written on the screen. He was laying down at the dead end of a short pier-like structure. With the use of some potion, one of the tree creatures lit the pier on fire, and I watched as the flames engulfed him. As this strange funeral proceeded, the waters around the pier changed to dull green. This morning I awake, finding it hard to even believe the previous evening's events. The water is a dull green for as far as I can see now. For some reason, the water no longer shifts color. As I wander throughout the pathways, the creatures watch me, curious to see what I will do next. They are constantly offering me strange objects of affection. I even found food outside the doorway to the room in which I slept. This is a unique race of beings. learn their language soon so that I may learn more from them. I have lived on this world for 3 months off and on, and the tree dwellers have shown great hospitality. I am even beginning to learn bits of their language. I've decided to return home for an extended stay with my loving wife and my sons, and hopefully return with them. However, I am sure Catherine will once again refuse. I think this age would be a wonderful experience for them all, and I at least look forward to how Cirrus and Achenar will react to its curious inhabitants. Catherine is staying behind, as expected. My sons have returned with me, and they enjoy this age very much. They get along very well with the tree dwellers, and are picking up their language surprisingly fast. I have no doubt that it will not be too long until they can speak with the tree dwellers much better than myself. I am leaving tomorrow to check on the Ismahoyan age. Cirrus has suggested that I allow him and his brother to stay. Though the idea unsettles me, I know the boys are growing up rapidly. The hospitality of these creatures is such that I could think of no better place to leave them alone for a short while, so I will consent to their request. I warned the boys not to take advantage of the respect the tree dwellers have for their ideas. They seem to understand my warnings, and I have faith they will follow it. Much to my dismay, upon arriving in Everdunes, I learned that Pran and her people are continuing to be menaced by the, I don't know how to pronounce this word, Choctic. I fear for their survival, and plan on returning to her shortly after checking on Cirrus and Achenar here. See Everdunes Journal for more information. After watching Cirrus and Achenar, I see they are handling things very well, and I think I can put to rest any fears about leaving them in Channelwood again. And for a little longer time. The tree dwellers seem slightly distressed that I am leaving, but are happy that Cirrus and Achenar are staying behind again. I've been gone for over 3 days, and I have been to many different places. I had to tell Cirrus and Achenar about Pran's death today, and they were visibly shaken. Although they only remembered her from their childhood, Catherine has suggested that it would be wise for Cirrus and Achenar to leave Channelwood for a while, and I have to agree. They will be returning with me when I leave again. I have told my sons that they will be returning with me in 2 days. They spent the entire night telling me of an adventure they experienced in my absence, and it was rather remarkable. It seems they constructed a boat with the creatures and traveled some ways out into the surrounding waters. I enjoy hearing them talk excitedly of their adventures, and am reminded of my own adventures as a child. I finally understand why the tree dwellers have been giving me their many inks and insisting I write with them. Looking through some of my past entries, I see now that the inks have changed from the black I thought they were to various different colors. I have shown some of the creatures my journal, and they laughed and howled. I did not know they had such a sense of humor. Even now, as I look through this very colorful journal, I cannot help but laugh myself. We will be returning tomorrow, so my sons are with the creatures for the last night here. They have told me they would like to come to Channelwood again, and also asked if they could come visit some other ages alone. Though I will have to think over their request, I believe they have proven to me that they are trustworthy and responsible. Catherine will also have to help me decide whether they are ready for travel alone. For now, I must give my farewells to the creatures, for I do not know how long it will be until I visit this age again. You can see some diagrams here that Atris created. And that's it for this book. So, I hope you enjoyed that story time. We'll be doing that a few more times. There are 3 more books. I'll probably be doing 1 in each video, I think. By the way, I totally forgot to bring up that when we looked at Atris's message in the Imager, he said that someone had destroyed his library and that he suspected it was one of his sons, Cirrus or Achenar. And he said he suspected Achenar, but he didn't want to jump to conclusions. And so we were reading a bit about Cirrus and Achenar in that book as well. So that is our main cast of characters in this game. Atris, his sons Cirrus and Achenar, and their mother, Catherine. So let's get back to the game. We're going to go back to the cabin. Before I go in the cabin, though, I want to go around the cabin right here and take a look at this tree. This is the tree that we were looking at in the tower. And that tree is going to be important, as it turns out. There's also a picture of the tree next to the furnace. So let's take a look at the safe. We type in the combination we got from the tower, 724, and the safe opens. We've got a book of matches. We can light the match, and if we turn around and look at the furnace, we can light the furnace with the match. And now, if we turn the wheel, the furnace turns on. And now this takes kind of a while to turn the furnace, but you want to turn the wheel as far as it will go. And once the wheel is going as far as it can, we start to hear a sound. Let's go back out towards the tree, and we can see the tree is actually moving, and we can get in. And it's sort of it's basically a furnace-powered elevator. We can look down and watch as the elevator rises. We get a nice view of the island here. You can see the clock tower in the distance. And this is as high as the elevator goes. And you might be wondering, well, how do we get back down? That's what this button is for. And if we look, it will actually keep going up again automatically. So, how does that help us, you might be wondering? Well, let's turn the furnace off again. Now the furnace is off. Let's go back over to the tree. We can see the elevator is now going down. And now let's get in again. And now we're going underground into a secret room under the island. I love this room too. I think it's really cool looking. And we see another book right here on top of this tree trunk. We open the book and look at that. This is just like the Myst book that we used to get onto the island. So let's click the image again. And we get a nice flyby view of the area we're going to be going to. Let's let it go through its little cycle. We get a very nice view of a world here. The world we're going to be visiting. And I think this is where it loops, so let's click again. And so, welcome to Channelwood. This is the world that Atris wrote about in the book. We can see the wooden pathways, the trees coming out of the water. And I don't know if we can look up here, but we can see over there a path leading up into the trees. So, we will be exploring this age. There are many puzzles to solve here, but for now, I think we're going to stop and save the game. And we will be continuing Myst later. Let me know what you think about this. I have no idea if this is going to be the kind of thing that people are interested in watching. Like I said, I was originally going to do Baldur's Gate, so if people aren't vibing with this, we'll just go and do Baldur's Gate instead. But I really wanted to give this a try because I love this game. I thought it would make for a really good game for this channel. But like I said, if people aren't liking it, we can switch to Baldur's Gate instead. But for now, that's going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great night.